Hello and welcome back. In this video I'm going to show you step by step how to connect your mixer to an audio interface so that you can either record the microphones, instruments and other audio sources plugged into your mixer on your computer or live stream your stereo mix. What I'm going to focus on here are the connections. We'll look at what cables you need and what plugs into where. As you will see, the cables you need are going to depend on your particular mixing console and interface. I'm going to look at two different mixers and two different interfaces to explain some of the things you need to think about. So let's do this. Firstly, make sure your audio interface is correctly installed and connected to your computer, most likely via USB. The audio signal coming from your mixer will be line level, so make sure if you have combi inputs that you have switched them to line level. On this Focusrite Scarlett 2i4, I can just toggle the switches on the interface. With this Scarlett 4i4, I need to do this in the Focusrite control panel. By way of comparison, this simpler Behringer U-Control only has line inputs, so there's nothing to do there. Begin with the gain knobs turned right down as I have done here on the 4i4. The Behringer U-Control has no onboard gain adjustment. I'll come back to this later when I look at how to set your recording levels. Let's move back to the mixers now. I'm assuming you have already plugged in all your audio sources and adjusted the gain and levels for each channel individually. There are plenty of tutorials on how to set up your mixer elsewhere. I'm focusing on connections here. What you should do now is set the main output of your mixer to the unity setting. On this little Yamaha mixer it is at 3 o'clock and is marked with a little arrow. On this Behringer mixer the unity setting is at 12 o'clock and is marked with a 0. So do refer to the manual for your mixing console and set it accordingly. Now you're ready to take the line outputs from the mixer to the line inputs of your interface. This little Yamaha mixing console has two sets of outputs and they are both balanced. The line inputs of the Focusrite 4i4 are also balanced. You have a choice here. You can either use balanced XLR to TRS cables, one for the left channel and one for the right, or you can use a pair of balanced TRS 1/4-inch jack cables. Again, one for the left and one for the right. You simply take the cables of your choice and connect the left output from the mixer to channel 1 of the interface and the right output to channel 2. What you should not do is use XLR to XLR cables in this scenario, even though physically they will fit. I have seen a few tutorials where people have done this and it is not correct if you have an interface with combi inputs like the Focusrite Scarlett 4i4. Why? Because if you plug an XLR cable into this type of interface, then the interface will expect a mic level signal. You must plug a 1/4-inch jack cable into the interface and make sure you have selected the line level option. That way your line level signal from the mixer will be treated correctly. Now let's look at the Behringer mixer. This one happens to have a USB audio interface built in, so in fact it is possible to plug it straight into a computer to record or stream, but I'm going to demonstrate as if this were a standard non-USB mixing console for the purposes of this tutorial. Now the Behringer only has 1/4-inch outputs, no XLR, and according to the manual these are unbalanced. So in this instance we are going to use 1/4-inch jack cables again, but here we use TS cables which are unbalanced. The Focusrite interface can accept either TRS or TS for line in, so that's fine. Now if you're a bit confused about the difference between TRS and TS, or tip ring sleeve and tip sleeve, then do refer to my other tutorial where I go into a lot of detail about different cable types. Now finally, if we look at this other little interface, it only has line inputs and these are unbalanced RCA inputs. To connect a mixer to this type of interface, you use unbalanced TS to RCA cables, again one for the left and one for the right. Now you have connected the line outputs of the mixer to the line inputs of the interface. How and where are you going to monitor or hear the sounds? The answer is through your audio interface. You need to monitor how the signal sounds through the interface because that is the signal you want to record or stream. So you can either plug in headphones or connect the outputs of your interface to a set of speakers. Be careful though if you have plugged microphones into the mixer, as you don't want to get into any feedback issues or for your microphones to pick up sounds coming from the speakers while you're recording or streaming. So unless you are not recording through any mics or your mixer is in a different room, you're probably going to be using headphones. Finally, let's talk about levels. Here is what you're aiming for. In your recording software or DAW, you will select your audio interface as your default audio device, and when you record, you want to see a good signal that peaks at around -12 dB. Here is what that would look like in Audacity, and here you can see what that looks like in a DAW such as Repo. Whatever recording software you use, arm your tracks for recording, then do a quick test to check the signal. Now remember, we set the level of the signal from the mixing console at Unity. To adjust the recording levels on an interface like this Focusrite Scarlett 4i4, you can adjust the variable gain for each input. So adjust the gain until you are seeing your signal peaking at that -12 dB level. Most interfaces like this have some kind of visual feedback. In this case, the 4i4 has these gain halos, and you want to see them lighting up green, which indicates a nice strong signal with some headroom. You never want to see them lighting up red, which indicates you are getting distortion. For comparison, let's look at the Behringer U-Control. This is a much simpler audio interface and there is no adjustable gain on the interface. In this case, you will need to adjust the signal coming from the mixer to get a satisfactory recording level. Although the method is different, you're aiming for the same thing in your recording software, a peak of about -12 dB. This gives you a strong enough signal with some headroom, and you should avoid any clipping or digital distortion. Now finally, if you are live streaming and so you're not doing any post-production, you may want to push the levels up a bit to a peak of about -6 dB in your streaming software so your audience gets a good strong signal. Just be careful not to go any higher than that. Well, I hope you found this helpful. Any comments or questions, post them below. If you've enjoyed this video, then do give it a like, and please subscribe and hit the little bell if you want to be the first to see my newest recording tutorials and how-to guides. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye for now.